Hello and welcome to another episode of Two Dudes in the Basement Talking Sports, or Talking Sports with Two Dudes in the Basement. But it's kind of different now because Zoe is not here, and so I decided to try to do this myself. This is the first episode podcast that not only I've done alone, but it's the first one I've done this year. So I hope that it goes all right. So we're going to do some crash course into some things that happen. Because, I wanted to talk about sports because there's been far too much craziness happening in the news and world today. So I wanted a little distraction and just talk about something that actually brings me joy. Sometimes it fires me up, sometimes it does both. Anyway, so quick recap, because this is mainly a basketball and football podcast. The Denver Broncos defense won them the Super Bowl, which led to exodus of some of their defense. Trevathan's gone, the linebacker. It led to some other ones getting paid for Denver to keep them. It led to Brock Osweiler getting paid an exorbitant amount of money by the Houston Texans in free agency, which he's not worth. And like I said, it also led to Von Miller getting the biggest contract the defensive player has ever gotten. And I'm not sure if the whole contract is the biggest contract the defense has ever gotten or if it's the guaranteed money. But the guaranteed money is copious amounts. You might just bring the Brinks truck to his house. $70 million in guaranteed money. Von Miller's good. He's really good. But dang, that's a lot of money. So that happened. What also happened is this week, this is July 17th. Anyway, this week Tom Brady had a hearing and he decided that he would serve that 4-game suspension for Deflategate. He wasn't going to try to appeal it anymore and cause a fight about it, just get it over with. Whether that is indicative of him being guilty or not, I'll let you decide. I think that you have to be very careful when you do what lawyers tell you what to do, because that's what Tom Brady did in this case. He got rid of the cell phone, got rid of the evidence, didn't cooperate 100%, and this is where it got him. Not a great situation in the end. It's not that bad, though. It could be a lot worse. So, Patriots fans, you're not going to like the first 4 games of the real season. And also in football, I don't want to talk too much about free agents because I think Zoe and I, this is Emerta. By the way, I didn't say who I was. Whoop, there you go. Anyway, my name is of little consequence. Anyway, the franchise tag for football is designed so that the good teams can keep players of premier positions without them running out and getting paid big bucks by their teams. So they'll slap a franchise tag on them. Depending what position, different position, it's supposed to be a premium salary, premium contract for 1 year for that position. So quarterback is obviously going to command more than a safety, which is also going to command more than a center, it can so on and so forth. I don't know why you'd franchise tag a center unless he was super beastly. Anyway, so there was some franchise tag tomfoolery going on here between Zoe's team, the Carolina Panthers. They were like messing with Josh Norman, saying, hey, we're going to give you this money. And then they said, no, we're going to franchise tag you. And so he was like, all right. And then for whatever reason, their GM, their philosophy believes a lot more in the defensive tackles and defensive ends on that line to get pressure. And he thinks if those guys get you pressure, then anyone can step up and, be make plays in the secondary, which is true to an extent. And so they rescinded the tag and gave it to Quan Short. That money they were going to give Norman. And Quan Short's been beasting out. Don't get me wrong. He deserved that money. But they rescinded the tag, and then they were like, oh, wait, we messed up. We don't want to do that. But it was too late because my Washington Redskins were all over Josh Norman. Said, hey, man, we ain't had us a good cornerback of, premier caliber in a long time. D'Angelo Hall was that guy, but now he's back at free safety. He's getting up there in age. We got an up-and-coming Rashad Breeland, but we need you, which is right. They really did. Their secondary got dissected by Aaron Rodgers, that bad man. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers, get off on a little tangent a little bit. He has a bunch of rumors going on about him, man. I'm not going to say what they are exactly, but if you're bored and you're a Packers fan, go look up these rumors about Aaron Rodgers. They're pretty out there. And even if they are true, who cares? It doesn't change the fact that he's a bad football player. I mean, he's a bad man. He's dissect that defense. Anyway, rant over. Back on the subject of Josh Norman. So my Redskins jumped all over him, man, and took him. And he signed with my Redskins. He signed 5 years, $70 million. He's gonna be the leader of that defense now. As far as skill goes. Ain't no one else on that defense in a elite position like him. On that, he was voted 11 on the top 100 by his own peers in the NFL 100. So Josh Norman, but he does have his work cut out for him. Okay, he's going against Antonio Brown, which I don't know if there's anyone who can cover that guy continually. He's, in my opinion, the best receiver in all of football at this time. Then he's going to go up against Dez Bryant. Then he's going to go up against Odell Beckham. And just in the words of T.O., get your popcorn ready. Then he's going to go up against Dez Bryant. And then I think he goes up against RG3 as far as he goes against the Browns. But 3 of the 4 first games, he's going to be tested. Not just him, the whole secondary is going to be tested, which is revamped this year, but it should be some good. So we should all circle that Odell Beckham and Josh Norman game, because that's what it's going to turn down to. It's going to turn into that. For better or for worse, the camera's going to be following them. Both of them probably going to be mic'd up, so you're going to hear it on NFL sound bites the week after, or during the week. So we should circle that calendar. Redskins versus Giants, the first of the year, and see what's going on. Watch that primetime crap talking and John and carrying on and whatnot. There's also another story about the franchise tag being, not the franchise tag, but I think it's just a contract being messed up, and it was with Elvis Dumervil, and that led to his premature exodus from the Denver Broncos over to the Ravens. Okay, and they waited until the last second, right? They waited until the last second, these Broncos GMs did. And then they were like, oh, okay, and they faxed it too late for him to be not hit the free agency, and he hit the free agency. He said, I'm gone, and he was. So you got on one end the Carolina Panthers doing this wishy-washy franchise tagging with Norman, and on the other end you have my Washington, this franchise tag tomfoolery situation we got going on in this offseason. And you have my Washington Redskins on the other end slapping this tag on Kirk Cousins, which I think is a good thing, to be honest with you. The first of the year, he didn't do very well, and as year went on, he got better and better and better, so I can see where they're coming from. They say, hey, man, show this isn't a fluke. They said, we got Jackson for you to throw to for a whole season. We got, we locked up Jordan Reed, 5 years, $70 million as well. And one of the best tight ends, pass catching tight ends in football. Gronk did better, but he's second as far as stats go. Now, I can understand them, and they say, hey, you got Deshaun Jackson, you got Pierre Garçon. We went out and got you Vernon Davis as well. We got you all these pass catchers. See what you can do for a full season being named the starter. You don't have to fight with anyone for the starting job during training camp, because last year it was between him and RG3. And now they're just said, hey, you're going into here. You're our guy. We got all the confidence in the world in you. Now it's time for you to play this out. You think you're worth more money than what our franchise tag is? Then fine. Show us that. And it's a cautious approach, and I'm glad it's like that, because Washington Redskins have not had a decent, let alone good, quarterback since Rippon, right? Brunell, blah. John Beck, blah. RG3 in 2012, very good, but then after that, he regressed. So I'm glad that they're not getting all enamored all of a sudden with his last 8 games and thinking this is who he is. That's good. I'm glad they're doing a cautious approach. Enough about franchise tag tomfoolery. So something else happened very big, and is not with football. It's with the NBA, right? Because I said we were going to try to fast forward through this and see what's going on. I'm trying to give you the skinny, and really fast, just because it's just me. And, it's hard to have a static conversation with just yourself. I don't know about anyone else, but it is for me. I don't have that dynamic of another person bringing up a different argument or bringing up a different point of view, or even solidifying the points that I make in this podcast. So, if this isn't for you and you feel like, it's better with 2 people, then great. I don't want you to waste your time listening to this if you're bored out of your mind. But in the NBA playoffs, something happened that I thought was not going to happen. The Cleveland Cavaliers came away with that victory. Now, there's tons of things that went on into it, tons of craziness going on. I mean, leading up to the playoffs, you had Draymond Green kicking people in the nuts twice, not seeing, getting suspended, and finally he did get suspended. I mean, it was a joke on how these whole playoffs were the worst officiated playoffs I've ever seen. And I'm not talking just because I really didn't have a dog in the fight, especially because my Jazz were not in there. So I really didn't have a dog in the fight, especially in the championship, Golden State or Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't really care who won. I'm glad Golden State lost, and we'll get into that in a minute. But it's just overall the most poorly officiated playoffs that I have ever seen. I mean, it was a joke. Some of the things they were calling and some things they weren't calling, and on both sides. I mean, if those are your best seasoned referees that the NBA has to offer, then you got to outsource or something. I mean, I've seen high school refs do better job than that. Keeping the job or keeping the game unbiased and fair. I mean, that was a freaking joke. Anyway, there's my little bit of my rant. So the thing is, I don't understand. Here's what I seem to notice: the people in the younger generation that prefer tons of offense, very little defense, tons of threes and dunks, and that's it in your offense. Those types of people of that age seem to prefer the Golden State Warriors. If you weren't a Warriors fan to begin with, right? Those were the type of people that were going for that type of team there, because they like that excitement in the basketball, right? But I noticed the older generation of, the older that you got age-wise, they can remember a bunch of playoffs, we'll say 15 years and back. They can actually remember the ball games and not just watch them, but remember we're old enough to have your basketball IQ dictate what was important and not on the court. We seem to like teams, the Cavs, to win. Not that we really wanted them to win, but we said, hey, this team plays defense. Hey, this team does, this team looks for the best opportunity for the offense to score. So if the best opportunity is LeBron in a 3, then that will happen. If the best opportunity is Mozgov in the post, because he's wide open, that will happen, right? Something that's really infuriating me about Golden State is I think I was watching Game 3. It's Game 3 or Game 4. It's the first game they lost, and of the finals. And I saw Klay Thompson go on a 3-on-1 fast break, and he could have had a dunk. Homeboy's like 6'7", right? He could have had a dunk. He pulled the ball all the way back out and shoots a 3 and clanks and missed it. To me, that's ugly basketball. I mean, we all have our things. We all have the things we like and stuff. And there are many advanced statistics and analytics that will say that, you need a 3 or a dunk or a layup. That's it. You don't need any mid-range. And I'm kind of the opposite. I'm kind of like, do what the defense gives you. You take what they give you until you probed and you found a weakness, and then you just impose your will upon them. So that was kind of weird, very weird for me to watch that. Then you had Ayesha Curry, Stephen Curry's wife, get all crazy about it, saying that there was like some conspiracy, that the NBA did this, the NBA, whatever, they didn't want the Warriors to win, what happened, and she got really boisterous and out, loud, vocal about it. And there became that meme in those shirts that the Cleveland fans had posted out. It's just like playing off of that Friday, bye Felicia, instead of they put bye Ayesha, like they ain't no care. Anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. The thing that I would like to bring up, that she likes to bring up, that it was 3-1 when Golden State was winning, and then Cleveland, closed out the series. Well, that same situation happened with her husband's team, the Golden State Warriors, and the Thunder in the Western semifinals. The same thing happened, right? But it was reversed. The Thunder were up 3-1, and Golden State came out and closed out the rest of it. Came out, played like, man on fire. It was ridiculous. Some of the threes they were hitting, and it just hands in their face and whatever. Let me go back to the Cleveland Cavaliers saying that offense and stuff. Now, I know I said they had a smarter offense and stuff like that. Not necessarily with J.R. Smith, though. Let me put that caveat in there. J.R. Smith is the type of player that can shoot you into or out of a game. When he's hitting, he's hitting ridiculous shots, off balance, fadeaway threes, just craziness, right? And the defense can't get there in time. And then with the movement he has, and he's leaning and stuff like that, they can't block it. So, I mean, it's a hard shot to make, but if you're hitting him, good luck for the defense, because, if I were defending someone like that, I let them take that shot on the three-point line. At that, might as well have your eyes closed at that point, hit that eyes closed free throw like Jordan used to do. So let me put that caveat in there before I have people screaming at me saying that, Cleveland's defense is devoid of basketball IQ and whatever. And there is a lot of problems with their defense. It's nowhere near perfect. Kyrie's a little bit too selfish. LeBron sometimes gets a little bit too selfish, but for the majority of the game, he's more passive than I would like if I were a Cleveland fan or the coach. But that's a whole nother discussion. And so, I just didn't understand her, Ayesha, getting back to her. I didn't understand why it's a conspiracy theory when it hurts her, but when it doesn't hurt her and it's in her benefit, it's not a conspiracy theory. Whether I think there's a conspiracy theory in the NBA or not, I mean, yeah, to a certain extent. I mean, because it's a business, right? And we all know the LA Lakers, New York Knicks, now Golden State Warriors jerseys are going to sell more than the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to sell more than Utah Jazz. They're going to sell more than Orlando Magic. They're going to sell more than the Charlotte Hornets, right? That's just what it is. And if the NBA can, they want to grow their product. And so they're going to put those teams in favorable situations. Will it be as favorable as like making someone hose the game all the way? I don't think so. But they're going to do what they can to get them into the playoffs for sure. To a certain extent. Now, obviously, you can't say that there's no corruptibility inside NBA officiating, because we have the whole Tim Donaghy case that he was betting on games and point shaving and whatnot, and he testified and became an informant because he's in with the mob. Testified and became an informant, and didn't get the penalty that he probably should have got. That's what happens when you're an informant. So, whenever I'm willing to say that there's a huge conspiracy, no. I do know that there's certain outcomes that the NBA would like. Now, are there some questionable things that it can lead you into thinking that there might be, you know, like Patrick Ewing draft and the Cleveland Cavaliers draft, getting all them first round, first pick overall, and you know, in 3 of the 7 years or whatever. I'm sure I can see how someone can jump to that conclusion, but the fact of the matter is we don't have the evidence to really do that, and so I'm not even going to go on that level. But I'm not going to fault you if you think that either. So here's something that I've been seeing all over Facebook and all over Twitter, and it's comparing these 2016-2017 Warriors, because they beat the Bulls record. They won 73 games, the Bulls won 72. The 98 Bulls, right? That's during their second three-peat. Three-peat is when you win the title 3 times in a row. And you know what? To compare those two teams, I'm going to open up a question to you guys. Is it a fool's errand, or does it have some merit? And this is for you guys to decide. I mean, I can tell you what I feel and what I think, but I'm not the end-all be-all answer. I don't know everything. And I feel it's a fool's errand personally, because I grew up watching the transition of the hard physicals 90s power basketball and what we have today. And I don't even know what we would call what we have today, because it's not the run and gun of the 60s and the 70s, you know. It's when they had no defense whatsoever and just thrown up. We're like a hodgepodge. It's a weird mixture. Anyway, so the game was different back then with the Bulls in 98, right? This is why I don't like to compare players of eras. Because back in Jordan's day, you could do this thing called bump people off cuts. And what that is if I don't have the ball and my team has the ball but I don't, and I want to make a movement through the key to attack the basket a certain way so I can get the ball in a more advantageous area, right? Or I can go all the way through to the basket, you can throw me a pass and I can dunk that business, right? So when I'm cutting through the court, I'm running, right? The defense was allowed to bump the cutter, and it was not a foul. You can chest him a little bit, right? Now, I mean, if you chest him so hard they took like 2 steps or fall over, whatever, that was a foul. But if you made him just deviate just a half step or just a little bit, it wasn't a foul, right? So you could do that in Jordan's day. You can't do that now. You chest them, they come through the middle, even if it's, you know, if it obstructs the offensive path just a little bit, it's a foul. They call it foul in the NBA nowadays. Also, you could do this thing on defense called hand checking. And Bruce Bowen was awesome at that. Ron Harper, great, right? So if you were, if someone tried to post you up, you just put your hand, right? You just put your hand on their hip. And if you were strong, they couldn't back you down. If you were a strong dude and you were like stout and low to the ground, Well, here's the thing. Jordan, Malone, Robinson, Olajuwon, Ewing, Iverson to a certain extent, they got all their numbers. Iverson's not so much, but kind of half his career was in that 90s Powerball and half wasn't. They did all put up all the numbers that they did with these 2 things being allowed by the defense, right? Bump them off cuts and hand checking. There's a rule made specifically because of Charles Barkley. Okay. Oh, he's one I forgot to mention. Charles Barkley too. How can I forget to mention Sir Charles? Anything else will be uncivilized. Oh, if you don't know that commercial, then maybe YouTube it. So Charles Barkley, they call him round mound or rebounder. He used to box people out into the parking lot. Which when I was playing high school ball, That's what they told you to do. Say, hey man, if this guy's gonna let you, my coach would always tell us. He'd always tell us, hey, if they're gonna let you put them in the bleachers on the rebound, do it. Keep them out of the play, because it's easier for you to run up and get the ball than it is if someone's pinned on your back. If someone's pinned on your back, they have to foul you to pretty much get around you and get to the ball. Well, now you can't do that. It's called the Charles Barkley rule. You get to box them out for 3 steps, because not only Charles, Rodman was really good at it too, but Charles, Rodman, some of the guys that would just outwork you. Charles Oakley did it too, of the Knicks. They would just outwork you so hard and get that position and seal you so well that you just could not get a rebound. You'd be out of the play, right? You would be nowhere near the vicinity of the basketball after it hit the rim. So I guess the NBA higher-ups brass decided, you know what, that's not as fun to watch as we thought it was going to be. We're going to get rid of that. So you get 3 steps. You can box people out 3 steps now. And any more than that, they call a foul. Do they do it all the time? Is it consistent? No. But it is in the rules. So the game has changed so much. That's why I feel that comparing eras and players is a fool's errand. And not only that, especially now, because we're going more to a positionless basketball, right? We're going more toward, you got Dirk, who's tall enough to be a center, big enough to be power forward, but he's shooting threes out there, right? You got Kevin Durant, that he's big enough to be a power forward, but he's just like an offensive weapon. Same with LeBron, right? Big enough to be power forward, good enough to play small forward, but they're running the offense. They're doing things that point guards would usually do. And that's what brings me to, this is why people get an argument all the time, but was Tim Duncan a power forward or a center? And to me, if we were going to, because we like to label things, categorize them, put them in boxes, so we can feel more secure in quantifying them, right? So to me, Duncan's a center. He plays like a center, right? He does what a center would do, a traditional center would do. I don't think that takes away any from his basketball, what he's done in his legacy. I mean, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong. They call him the big fundamental for a reason. The way he played the ball was fundamentally sound. Have you ever watched Top Gun? He was like Iceman. Rarely ever made a mistake, and he was just on you till you made a mistake, then he made you pay. That's just how he played. And there's nothing wrong with that. Is it considered a boring type basketball? Yes. But guess what? It wins. Right? Got him paid a lot of money. He'd been in the NBA for a long time. He's been a part of one Spurs dynasty that has morphed and changed and become successful again. I don't know what else could be more successful. I don't know how he could be more successful, to be honest, in a basketball sense. Maybe if he became a coach or an ambassador and opened up basketball to the world, maybe then. But I think he's done enough of that already. So to say that he's a center, I don't feel is a slight toward him. To me, if you have to quantify somebody, you are how you play, not where you line up in the depth chart. Magic Johnson lined up in the depth chart as a forward because he was 6'9". He did not play like a forward. He played like a point guard, right? Played like a point guard. Iverson lined up as a point guard. But did he really play like a point guard? Did he really distribute that ball? No. He was the offense. He was more of just offensive weapon, right? Who else? Dirk Nowitzki, I already talked about him. Memo Okur. Okay, Memo Okur was a center, but on offense, he was shooting them threes. He was staying out. He wasn't banging in down low, doing all that type of stuff. He was not a traditional center. So I kind of feel to compare and contrast between eras, I don't feel like we're really giving those players from different eras a fair shot, And you have some that could probably transcend eras, right? You got Michael Jordan, Dr. J, Pistol Pete Maravich, Bill Russell. Bill Russell could be a center in any era. Oh, homeboy was a wall on defense. You know, Larry Bird can probably play in either era, to be honest with you, because his shot was so nice. You know, stuff like that. But I kind of feel like we're kind of being disingenuous to how great one or the other is. Right? Because now the teams from the new eras, the players, the athletes are a lot more athletic. You look at Larry Bird, not a whole lot of athletic. Sorry, excuse me. You look at Larry Bird, not a whole lot of athleticism going on, right? There was enough, and he was tall, and he had an awesome shot, and he had the will to win. And he had a team around him that would, get him to where he needed to be. Go on, I'll post this on Facebook, and I'll post this on YouTube. So I want to know, is comparing the two 2016-2017 Warriors and the 98 Bulls, does it have merit, or is it a fool's errand? And who do you think would win? I got my money on the Bulls, because that defense was just killer. That perimeter defense was murderous. Between Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan, no, man. No one was scoring in the wing position. Your small forward and shooting guard was done. So, Curry would have to carry the whole team. And then you got Rodman versus Draymond. Oh, I might pay to see that. That'd be some popcorn, get the popcorn ready type stuff. I think it'd be a long fight. Maybe some sunflower seeds. Anyway, so I would like to know, does it have merit, or am I just is my thinking just, am I way off in left field? Now, something else did happen. Free agency happened. Okay? Free agency happened in the NBA. And it was bonkers, because this is the first year that the cap has exploded from almost 70 million to 94 million a year. You can pay your players as a team 94 million a year before going into the luxury cap. I think 97 is the ceiling where it starts, and then you pay luxury tax after that. So with that being said, something that went bonkers. Not a lot of movement went down. Some movement went down before Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, as people were seeing, hey, where's KD gonna go? I'll see if I can get me on a team where I can play KD. Kevin Durant went to the Warriors, which infuriates me, because they were already good without him. Now I'm going to, just for parity's sake, I'm going to have to pray for every team that plays these Warriors to destroy them. Ain't it going to happen? No, it's not going to happen. Ain't going to happen, dude. However, every time that they do lose, and they will not go undefeated. They will not go undefeated during the year. But every time they do lose, I throw me a little celebration, man. Just to be like, holy crap, these guys are a juggernaut now. No one's getting in their way in the West. I don't think so. As much as it pains me to admit that, no one is getting in their way. So they let some players go, right? And this is the only weakness that I think this team has, is a true center and a big man. Bogut's gone. Festus Ezeli's gone, right? A lot of these guys are gone that were playing the center position for them. Now, if they want to run and gun and play small ball the whole time, then good, great. But eventually you'll come to a series where someone's going to have dominant big men, and it's going to wear you down. That might be their chink in the armor. Maybe. So I'm going to chalk that up. Strong interior play from opponents as a weakness, potential weakness of the Warriors. Now, that being said, these Celtics been doing some weird things, man, especially with this draft, right? They went out and drafted Jaylen Brown, which I do like as a player. He's super athletic. They went out and drafted him. They tried to trade the pick before that to try to get something crazy going, because Ainge is in there. He knows that his time ain't very long unless he puts together some successful stuff. They went out and got Al Horford in free agency, right? But they still lack in that center. I mean, Al Horford can play a center, but I feel he's best as a power forward, right? Just like Derek Favors on the Jazz. Derek Favors can play the center, but I feel that he's more. You're better served playing him as a power forward, right? He has better max. Other than a really good stretch four like Dirk or Kevin Durant, if you put him at the 4, Derek Favors matches up better against other power forwards. So I don't know what these Celtics are trying to do, because Jared Solinger, he's not the best of centers. He's a power forward as well. And so I've been reading a lot, and I've been seeing a lot of rumors, right? And these rumors I've been seeing is they're trying to swing for these fences, right? Because now Westbrook don't want to be in Oklahoma because he's the man, he's the only thing they got. They're trying to get rid of Canner. Ibaka's gone to the Orlando. So this Thunder, man, they're kind of on the downswing now. And so Westbrook, there's rumors of him not being happy there. So Celtics are Thunder said, hey, we're going to trade Westbrook before the season starts. Whether that's a rumor or whether that's straight up fact, I don't know. But that's what the rumblings around the league are, right? Because this is his last year. Next year he becomes free agent, right? And so are these Celtics loading up so that they can trade and get Westbrook? Or are they going to wait for next year, swing for the fences and be like, hey, you know what? Kevin Durant, maybe you should talk your team, the Warriors, into a trade and come over here next year. Or maybe they're waiting for LeBron, because LeBron's going to sign one, and he's going to sign a two-year contract probably with 1 year player option at the end of the year. And so he could go over and be a Celtic. Anyway, it just seems to me that Danny Ainge is in desperation mode. And if you're a Celtic fan, you probably don't want to hear that, but that's what it seems like to me. And I have a question for you Celtics fans. Can Ainge get this done? Because he brought the big 3. He brought Garnett. He brought Ray Allen, which has one of the most beautiful shots ever. That he got coming out of retirement, it seems like. And he had Paul Pierce, right? And then he had Rondo too. He put that team together. That was a great team. Can Ainge do it again, or is this going to blow up in his face? Is he going to be able to put together another big 3, or is this just he's done? Because he was in desperation mode during that time as well. And then under pressure, he did great work and got it done. But can he do it again? All right, man. This brings me to one of the most sickening parts of this podcast, right? Since the cap went up, players who shouldn't be making exorbitant amounts of money will. And so I went to hoopshype.com. I recommend that site, hoopshype.com, right? I went to hoopshype, and it's compiled. I just typed in, Googled who's the worst contracts, right? And so these are in order. I'll read them in order. And wow. The first one they have, who they think is the worst, is Timofey Mozgov. He went to the Lakers. 4 years, $64 million. Dang. Overpayment. I don't know what these Lakers are trying to do, but I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to find a good big man. They tried to do it in Howard, and Howard didn't work out for him. Then they tried it in Hibbert last year. That didn't really work out for him. Now they're trying Mozgov. Wow. I guess that's their plan, but man, dang, that's just not great. I would have tried to put that money into Al Horford instead, but okay. This one, their number 2 worst one, right, is Alan Crabb of the Blazers. 4 years, $75 million. Holy crap. This dude come off the bench, right? CJ McCollum start over him, Damian Lillard start over him. Nothing wrong with that. But if they let this guy go, they would have no depth on their bench whatsoever. But man, homeboy got paid. It almost makes me feel like, actually, You know what? I'll bring my point up after this next one. This next one definitely solidifies what I'm about to say. What I was about to say. Tyler Johnson is the third worst. Heat. Right? He re-signed with the Heat because Dwayne Wade left, so they re-signed Tyler Johnson, right? 4 years, $50 million. And for all y'all people thinking like, Tyler Johnson, who the fetch is that? Yeah. Who the fetch is that? This was their third string dude. Their third string shooting guard. Because the other guy, he left too. I can't remember his name, but he's gone. And so Dwayne Wade left. His backup left. Now it's left the backup of the backup. Man, it almost makes me wish I was 19 again. I can go get 4 years, $20 million. Holy Moses. That was the point I was about to say. Some of these guys, you don't know who their name is. Like Tyler Johnson, man. Really? Not to like hate on your basketball skills or whatever, but man. The fourth worst. Chandler Parsons. The Grizzlies signed him for 4 years, $94 million. You'd think that the Rockets in Dallas, you'd think that the Grizzlies would have watched what happened with him in the Rockets in Dallas. Homeboy gets hurt. He's good when he's on. But $94 million for 4 years? Oh man, dude. I don't feel he's a max player. I feel like if he's your max option, you might not even sniff playoffs. Right? Because Dirk is getting older. He's coming back. Darren Williams is coming back. Right? But he's also older too. Wesley Matthews is still there. But man, this is going to be the centerpiece of their offense right here. This guy. Because like I said, all them dudes are getting older. They're not going to be able to shake and bake and rely on their athleticism like they used to. But this guy is going to have the athleticism because he's younger. But man, he's going to sit out 20 games at least. Golly. Here's another one. Dwight Howard done left, right? Went to the Hawks, which left a vacant center position spot up for grabs. And so they went out and signed Ryan Anderson. 4 years, $80 million. You know, I can't really fault them for that. He might work better in their offense. However, I don't know. You can put anyone in their offense because James Harden is going to be driving to the hoop all the time or shooting three. James Harden going to be their offense. Man, craziness. Evan Turner went to the Blazers, and he's a backup as well. 4 years, $75 million. Holy Moses. Backups can getting paid $75 million for 4 years. Solomon Hill. He went to the Pelicans. 4 years for $48 million. I mean, Solomon Hill was good when he was at Arizona, but he had a very small sample size in which he did well. Then when he had a big sample size, he did not do well. I mean, CJ Miles played in front of this guy. Man. Okay, here's one they have that's ranked as the 8th worst. Mike Conley, the Grizzlies. 5 years, $153 million. Okay, I understand why it's on this list. It's on this list because he's the highest paid basketball player right now. It was Damian Lillard. Now it's this dude. And if the cap doesn't increase like it should be, because it's projected to next year, this guy will still be the highest paid. Oh, man. I love Mike Conley. I love his defense. I love his scrappiness. He's a near max player, but my goodness. He shouldn't be making more than LeBron and Durant, all them guys. Holy Moses. Here's one where you can complain of nepotism, cronyism, and favoritism. And people probably, you won't have a lot of arguments about that. Austin Rivers. He went to the Clippers, re-signed him. 3 years, $35 million. You know, his production, he's just not consistent. His production, when it's good, it's good. But you never know what you're going to get with Austin Rivers. And so like I said, you can complain of nepotism, cronyism, whatever, because his dad, the coach, and whatever, and lobbied for him, who knows. The next one is John Lure. Went to the Pistons. 4 years, $42 million. He's a backup too. What's up with these backups getting all kinds of money? Luol Deng. He went to the Lakers. 4 years, $72 million. I'd even put him higher on this list. That's a bad contract. Here's one for you guys. Joakim Noah. He went to the Knicks. 4 years, $72 million. The big guys are getting overpaid. It's like if you're big, you can walk and chew bubblegum and talk at the same time. Here's a fat contract. I'm not saying Noah's not good. He is good, but he's not what he used to be when he was defensive MVP. He's not what he used to be 4 or 5 years ago, Joakim Noah. Now here's one that's interesting. I feel he should be on the list because I don't feel like he could be a max player, but I don't feel like he has shown enough to be a max player. And the dissenting argument will be, well, it's because he was on the Warriors. He was with Clay. He was with Curry. He was with Iguodala, right? This is Harrison Barnes. He went to the Mavs. 4 years, $94 million. So I guess it's Harrison Barnes and Chandler Parsons. Now that I'm thinking about it, that team's not going to be as bad as I thought. But man, I mean, for me, he's an unknown quantity, right? I've seen him. He's athletic. They call him the Black Falcon, you know. But like I said, I didn't feel like he played enough. And he was overshadowed a lot by Klay Thompson, a lot by Iguodala, a ton by Steph Curry. I just feel like if I were a GM, I don't know enough about him to give him $94 million for 4 years. I'd have to have him come and work out for me. Him show me what he can do on the perimeter. Because we all know he's athletic. Another one, Jan Mahimi, Wizards, 4 years, $64 million. He's a backup too. Eric Gordon, Rockets, 4 years, $53 million. He's probably going to back up James Harden. Golly. I can't see playing him and James Harden at the same time. There'll be no defense out of that perimeter. Man, people will be driving to the basket left and right. There'd be a lane that you could drive a truck through on the way to the basket and before they were going to have a massive dunk. Oh my goodness. Here's what's shocking. Bismack Biyombo. Wasn't a trade. Oh no, sorry. I lied. That's Serge Ibaka. Serge Ibaka also got traded from the Thunder in the draft day. Got traded to the Magic, right? So now they have Bismack Biyombo, 4 years, $72 million, and Serge Ibaka. They pretty much do the same thing on the court. So one of them going to be a backup. And it probably ain't going to be Ibaka. So you just paid 4 years, $72 million. Unless you're going to roll one as your center, undersized center, and just say, hey, do the best of what you got. But then they also have a center that shoots. Vucevic? No, not Nurk. He's a foreign guy. Dang, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. This is why it's good to have someone else in the podcast with you. Because usually Zoe can remember what I can't, and I can remember what he can't. And then if we can't, then both of us look kind of funny. We turn it into something weird. This one, Bradley Beal. I don't know if I put this on the list or not. They kind of had to do that. Bradley Beal, Wizards, 5 years, $128 million. Okay. This next one is a product of a championship team. You know, just like some of them Denver Broncos were. And then they got paid a bunch, you know, because they're like, oh, yeah, you were on the, Super Bowl winning team. It must mean you're good. This is Matthew Dellavedova. He went to the Bucks. 4 years, $38.5 million. I don't really feel that he's that great of a player. He can't score. And people say, oh, yeah, well, what about last year and this year when he did it? Dude, he throws up some lucky crap, to be honest with you. He just throws it up there. You know, he chucks the ball. He ain't shoot it. He chucks it. You're lucky when it goes in. Man, I understand why they want him. There's a hole in the point guard spot in Milwaukee, and they wanted a defensive guy. His defense is good, though. I will give him that. He plays good on defense. And I think they're trying to get an all-defensive team or something, because they will have him, Chris Middleton, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Other than Jabari Parker, they're going to have solid defensive starting five. Now that I think about him more, I'm kind of warming up to it. That he fits what they want to do in their basketball philosophy, I guess. And the contract isn't super high. Overpayment, man. And we're all going to feel like they get overpaid because the ceiling had ballooned up, like went up by 20 million. And it's going to go up again. It's going to be like 108 million next year projected. Next one on this list is Dwight Howard. He went to the Hawks. 3 years, $70 million. See, that's a lot for Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard has not had the level of production that he enjoyed when he was a Magic. And I don't know if he became kind of pouty from the outside. I mean, I'm not in his entourage, so, I don't know what's going down. He might have reasons to, but it just looks like he lost that enthusiasm, Where's the Dwight Howard that used to get down in the post and give a left-handed jump hook? Where's the Dwight Howard that would get down in the post, do a drop step dunk on somebody and scream after? I haven't seen that guy since Orlando. That guy wasn't on the Lakers. That guy wasn't on the Rockets. And I don't know if he's going to be on the Hawks. I mean, he's playing for his hometown, so it might be like, put up or shut up time for him. I don't know. I hope it is, because him and Paul Millsap might work good together. Keeping with the Hawks. Kent Bazemore. 4 years, $70 million. Man, I feel like he's a backup too. Man, that's a lot of money. This one they had to do. Orlando had to give Evan Fournier 5 years, $85 million. Because they were literally going to have nothing. If he walked, who would they have? They'd have their center. I want to call him Vujicic, but I don't think that's it. It probably is. Right, they'd have that center, that's it. Because Oladipo got traded. Oladipo got traded to the Thunder for that Serge Ibaka. I guess they'd have Serge Ibaka, but who would they have other than him? They got that foreigner, Mario Hezonja, I think, from last year. But who knows where his development is at this point. Obviously, he's not as good as they wanted, or else they wouldn't have offered Fournier that max contract. Well, 5 years, $85 million contract. Here's another one that a lot of people, I don't know if they just didn't like it or the Hornets can't get anyone else. Nicholas Batum. And he played well for them. He really did. Nicholas Batum. 5 years, $120 million. I mean, yeah, he played well for him, but man, that's Damian Lillard type money right there. He ain't on Dame's level, in my opinion. Jamal Crawford, re-upped with the Clippers. 3 years, $42 million. I like Jay Crawford though, so we're gonna keep that Jamal. Yeah, I'm not gonna poo-poo that move. That's a good move. I mean, I don't think there's anyone else in the history of the NBA that has more 4-point plays than him. What that means for people who are not basketball oriented is he gets fouled on the shooting a 3-point shot, makes it, and makes the free throw after. That's big time. That's momentum shifter right there in the game. That can change the flow of a game dang fast. Get you two of those in a playoff game, man. 2 of those in the playoff series even. You can change the chemistry of the whole series. Anthony Tolliver went to the Kings. 2 years, $16 million. It's the Kings they're gonna have to overpay. DeMar DeRozan went to the Raptors, re-upped with them. 5 years, $145 million. I knew that was coming. They were either going to have to do that, or the Lakers were going to get him because he's from LA. The Lakers wanted him. They could have got him. But man, probably if they offer a little bit more money. Aaron Afalo, Kings. 2 years, $25 million. I can't fault that signing either. Kings need defense. Homeboy, this is what he does, defense. Here's one from my beloved Jazz. Joe Johnson, 2 years, $22 million. The thing to keep in mind with this is Joe Johnson ain't going to be the Joe Johnson he was 5 years ago, dropping 24 points a game, going ISO Joe on everybody. He's going to come in and be a backup, right? He's going to come in and space that floor. That's what the Jazz needed on the bench. They needed scoring during the bench because there was times in the fourth quarter where sometimes we go 6 minutes without scoring a point. And usually that makes you lose the game. You can't go half the fourth quarter without scoring a point and expect to win every time. It just, no. Here's one. Mirza Telechovic, Bucks, 3 years, $30 million, $10 million a year. But he's a big dude. Big dudes get overpaid all the time. Speaking of, Hassan Whiteside, Heat, 4 years, $98 million. Man, you know, right now he is better than Rudy Gobert. And if Rudy Gobert got about this much next year, I mean, I'd do it. But man, that's a lot of money. Here's another one, the 30th worst, and the last one on the list, Al Horford, Celtics, 4 years, $113 million. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of years. Dang. Wow. I mean, I could picture that for Horford's last contract because he was in his prime and coming up. But this one, man, that's kind of rough. So, going along with those deals, I think the horrible contracts in there, Timothy Mozgov, Tyler Johnson. Those are the two worst. Man, those are bad. And maybe Alan Crabb, because he's going to handicap you for signing somebody that you want to sign next year and in 2 years too. And so my question, and we already talked about this a little bit, but I'll open up the 3 players that got max money. Are Harrison Barnes, Bradley Beal, and Chandler Parsons worth max money? If you guys think yes, I want to know why. And if you think no, I want to know why too. I'm split on the Harrison Barnes. I can see why some people would, but I can also see why if I'm a GM, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to give you that $94 million for 4 years. I don't think Chandler Parsons is. He's not on the court enough. Injury issues. Bradley Beal, he could be a max player. He could be worth that. I mean, his shots, money. If he increased his defense, he increased his steal rate, and increased and decreased his points allowed, I definitely think he could be max. Those are ifs, though. Ifs. And keeping along with basketball, I got a little bit more questions, then I'm done. Man, I've been talking for a minute. Coming up on 59 minutes here. Dwayne Wade went home. That's Chicago. He went to Chicago, right? Rondo went to Chicago. Jimmy Butler is there. Can a lineup of Wade, I should start with the point guard first. Can a starting lineup of Rondo, Butler, and Wade, can they coexist? Can they get it done? I think Dwayne Wade can get it done wherever he goes. When the USA took the bronze medal, that disappointing year in the Olympics, Dwayne Wade saw that there was a void at power forward. He saw there was a void down low. There's a void in post play. There's a void in play around the basket, right? LeBron was there. He didn't fill that void. Amari Stoudemire was there. He didn't fill that void. He did when he was in, but when he came out, right? He didn't play the whole game. But he just still didn't play as big as America. We're used to playing. We're used to have those big guys that are uber athletic, coordinated, dunk on people. Right? Carmelo Anthony was there. He didn't fill that void. Dwayne Wade saw what was missing and took it upon himself, and he beasted out. He had this Euro step that I thought was going to be a reverse layup. He turned it into a reverse dunk. Came up on the other side of the rim and dunked it. Oh man, it was spectacular. Now Rondo has a lot of teammates complain about Rondo. And it's the same complaint that the teammates have about Jordan. Just not a lot of people are vocal about Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan done won all them championships, right? Took them to the promised land, so they shut up about it. And I'm the type of player like Rondo and Jordan too, as far as the philosophy, right? So if I'm busting my butt on defense and my team says, hey man, I'm tired, they have no energy to help me out on defense, but yet they have all kinds of energy when we have the ball, which means they had energy, they just don't want to play defense in the beginning. Rondo will call you out. If you're not working as hard as he is, he will call you out. Right? And that's where a lot of problems led in their big three. Because he was calling out Ray Allen. He was calling out Garnett. And Garnett don't like to be called out, period, even when he does need it. He was calling out the truth, Paul Pierce. Because they got lazy and lackadaisical. So he called them out. He said, hey man, y'all aren't working as hard as I am. I'm busting my butt here. And you know what? Maybe my busting my butt is different than you busting your butt. It doesn't equate to the same level of production. But we don't never know because you guys aren't busting. You guys aren't putting forth that effort. Now, I'm sure he says it in a lot meaner ways than that. He probably throws some cuss in there. So, I think this question can Rondo coexist with Wade and Butler? Rondo and Butler are going to have that defense locked down. Okay. Is Wade still enough in his prime where he can do that? We'll have to see. They got Mirotic. Yeah. I think that team will be better than what a lot of people are thinking that aren't Bulls fans. Bulls fans they're going to think they're going to be great. Now, D Rose. See, I don't know why this wasn't in the horrible contracts. D Rose of Hoops Hype. I think this is a horrible one. D Rose went to the Knicks. D Rose is not the MVP D Rose. Derrick Rose, man, he was athletic. He was spectacular. He was shifty. He was almost like a running back with that ball, and he'd get the layup. He'd get that bump inside and get an and one, right? Or he'd juke his man and get a dunk. Then he developed a little bit of a perimeter shot. Man, he was deadly, right? But all them injuries are taking their toll. Because big men ain't like it when a point guard come in the paint and dunk on you. Big man ain't like it when the point guard come in the paint, get a slash and layup, get an and one. So when they foul eventually, they're gonna see that, they're only gonna put up with that a couple, I don't know how many times, but not several. And then they're gonna foul you hard. They say, you know what, little man, you gotta think before you come in here. This is paint. This is my house. This is where big man live. Right? You're gonna come through here. We're gonna make sure you feel the pain. Yeah, maybe you got that layup. Maybe you got lucky and it dropped. But man, you gotta remember why you got here. You got that bone bruise. You got that contusion. And sometimes you land awkward and they get an injury. So D Rose is not the D Rose that he used to be. And it was very evident last year. And I'm not trying to hate on D Rose. He was so fun to watch when he was on. Right? And I'm a Utah Jazz fan. Anytime the Bulls do good, it's just like, oh, put salt in that wound, man. Right? Just put salt in that wound, but I got to give him credit where credit's due. Just like I had to give Jordan credit where credit was due. I mean, the Utah Jazz fans pretty much gave him a flu virus, and he came out and said, screw your couch. He didn't care. Man, that guy was good. I just wish he was on my team. Anyway. Now, going back to Olympic basketball. And we're going to keep this kind of Jazz related, right? So, I want to know why it's okay for some NBA players to bow out of going to the Olympics to represent their national team, right? And some of them get raked over the coals because they don't want to do it, right? Or they chose not to. And I call this the curious case of Gordon Hayward and Rudy Gobert. Hayward finally got the opportunity this season to wear that USA across his chest and not be a member of the select team, not be a member of a team that gets beat up during their practices but never plays in their game, but to be on the actual USA team. But his wife having a baby, right? And he wants more babies of his own. So he's like, yeah, that Zika virus is going on down there. I ain't trying to catch it. Okay? Oh, you would not believe the flack I saw on social media, especially from Jazz fans. Like, why are you going to do it? Just... Guys, basketball is not the most important thing in life. I mean, for me, maybe it is, but like, he could have jeopardized the health of his baby girl that just got born. Could have gave her birth defects. Okay, I mean, those can happen by themselves. You don't need any help. However, this Zika would definitely have increased those chances, right? Rudy Gobert got no kids. So far, kids aren't in the plan, right? So he decides, yeah, I want to go. He said, I'm not going to go at first. He's like, I'm trying to get better. And he said, maybe, I'm undecided, but maybe if France qualifies for the Olympics, I'll go. Well, this FIBA Eurobasket, they qualified, right? Man, they played good. Boris Diaw was coming in and doing all kinds of crazy passes and stuff. De Colo was doing good. They are, man. It was like Spurs. Everyone French on the Spurs, right? Killing people. Winning. And so Rudy Gobert says, yeah, you guys want, okay, I'll go. Oh, man, you will not believe the flack that he caught on the other end. Why you going? You're hurting, blah, 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 blah. I talked to some people at work about it. They were like, well, the Jazz own him. I said, no. Legally and publicly, the Jazz cannot tell their player to forego an Olympic berth for their national team. They can say, hey, man, we'd love it if you wouldn't go, behind closed doors because, man, you're kind of injured and this, that, and the other, But they cannot publicly get out and tell him no. They can't even say, that's about the extent of what I told you, what they can legally do. But some people think that since you signed a contract, that you're pretty much a slave to them. No, you're not. And people's like, well, what if he's going to get hurt? What if he gets hurt? Then the Jazz are on the hook and blah, blah, blah this, that can happen in practice, guys. And I'm playing devil's advocate here. I mean, obviously, I would love if he didn't go and, because he did come off of an injury. But you know what? If I were in his situation, I'd go play. If I didn't have a kid, if I didn't have family, if I didn't, had to worry about transmitting no Zika virus, and have it impacting my family or future family, I'd go. Oh yeah, I'd be all over that. Because you're representing your nation. And some things you have to, coming from America, we've always done, well, besides that one year we took bronze, we've dominated basketball. Killed them, right? Some of the games weren't even close with that dream team. That first dream team was killing people by like 60 points. So to Americans, ain't no thing, right? Because we're used to being on top. Well, France has a very good basketball program, but they've never been on top. Spain has a good program, but they've never been on top. Brazil has a good program, but they've never been on top. Russia has a good program, and they have been on top, right? Argentina has a great program, and they've been near the top. But no one's really wrestled it. We're the big bad juggernaut, the United States, when it comes to basketball and the Olympics, right? Everyone want to beat us. So I understand Gobert wanting to go. He wants to play against the best. Wants to beat the best. And do it representing his country. And if anyone has a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you, because I don't know what to tell you. I just don't. If you can't understand that, having that national pride, then I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, I did this podcast by myself. I thought about doing it and thought about it. And a person at work said, well, you should do it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't have my co-host with me, you know. And they said, well, you're going to let that stop you? And I was like, yeah. Kind of. It's been stopping me all year. This is my first one, and, I haven't done one this year since January. And then I got on Twitter, and there's this dude with a Twitter handle, Yes Man, right? I don't know how I came across his radar, because I'm not very popular on Twitter. I don't have very many people know me, right? And so I said, hey, I'm debating about, I sent out a tweet. I'm debating about doing a podcast this week, but I don't have my co-host. Should I do it? And he tweeted me back very soon after, said, yes, you should. Right? So I went back and looked at him. I don't know if he has some kind of algorithm that predicts when people ask a question, they say should or something like that, and it just automatically kicks out yes, you should. But he had that reply, yes, you should, to a lot of people. I went back and I looked at this guy. I was like, man, this guy, so I kind of took it as the universe throwing me a sign, yes, man, in this case. Anyway, I hope I wasn't too rusty for you guys. I hope I didn't come across as too crazy, because I had no one to check me here, because, my co-host wasn't here to check me like, hey, man, you sounded crazy right here. Anyway, stay safe. Stay safe. Be careful. Like I said, craziness going on in the world right now. I just needed a break from it. I hope you got a break listening to this too. Peace.